What up everyone, it's your man XMan87 here, bringing you another Marvel Legends video, and what I have for you today is the Marvel Legends 85 Years Celebration Series Astonishing X-Men Wolverine review. Before we get into everything, if you could please leave a thumbs up, like rating on the video, it'll help show your support for my channel and I greatly appreciate it. Now with that said, let's go! Alright, so those who have followed me for the longest time know that this Astonishing X-Men Wolverine has been my #1 requested update for Wolverine figures. It's my second favorite Wolverine costume of all time, my first being the 90s Tiger Stripe. This is tied second with the brown costume. And Astonishing X-Men was one of my all-time favorite reads, so I just absolutely love this costume. And the costume here that they went with is actually like the concept art, or the cover art I should say. It appeared in a lot of variant covers, where it has the squared yellowed padding on the gloves and on the boots. So it's an interesting choice that they went with here, because inside the panels there is no yellow squared padding on the gloves or the boots. It's in all blue. Now the yellow padding has been featured in other merch, like it was featured on some statues. And this was actually the look on Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So if you're looking to build your Marvel vs. Capcom 3 for whatever reason, this is the proper look. I know Toy Biz Marvel Legends Astonishing X-Men Wolverine did not have the yellow padding. It was all blue, so they kept it within the panels. So I actually don't mind the yellow padding. Actually, I prefer it, to be honest with you. I like the yellow padding more, because when I was reading the books, I was just like, why didn't he have the yellow padding on the cover art? Because again, I just like it more. I think it makes his costume pop out more, gives it some more color. Now we're looking at an all new sculpt here, and I think this is the best Wolverine sculpt that they have done. And no, it's not based on some recency bias. I'm going to show you why I think it's the best, because I'm just going to pull out the X-Men 97 here. You know, this was the standard Wolverine buck for like the longest time. Granted, they sculpted some new legs in here, but I rank this as my #1 favorite Wolverine figure. Check out my Marvel Legends Wolverine ranking video if you haven't already, but I prefer the proportions more on this one. Now, the one thing with Wolverine figures that Marvel Legends always gets right is his proportions. They are the best with the Wolverine proportions, but this one, they just upped the ante with it. They got it right, you know? The thick waist, the bulging chest, the bulging arms, you know, the thick legs. It actually looks better. And yeah, he is a little bit taller. He's a lot taller than the standard one, but they still nailed the proportions. I wish he was a little bit shorter, sure, you know? Like I said, I freaking gave up on Marvel Legends scaling. Their scaling is all over the place. Look at the chest here, the chest area. Man, it is bulky and bulging out, and when you look at it off to the side, you can see it is so much better, because he actually has that kind of Wolverine hunchback. We know that when you look at Wolverine off to the side in the comics, guy is bulky. Yeah, as you can see, look at that back bulging out, man. That thing is massive. So, yeah, when you just look at him off to the side, you know, chest to chest, you know, this one bulges out more. This one looks like he has a flat chest. Overall, despite him being an inch taller than the last one, they nailed the proportions on it. But we'll get back to the body later. Let's take a closer look at the head sculpt. And taking a look at the head sculpt, man, I love it, I love it, I love it. I love the short cow ears right there. I like how the cow wraps around under the chin. Great expression. Even got the seam on top of the mask. I like that. And yeah, there's some paint rub right there on the nose, which sucks. And it's on me, because when I swap the heads off, I have a bad tendency of popping the figure off with my thumb in front of the figure's face, so the bony part of my thumb kind of just rubs on the nose. So that's on me. It's best to always, like, you know, pop it off with your fingers on the side of the figure's head. So that's on me. I'll find a way to fix that. So that sucks. But I love the expression. I love the paint job on his eyes. And then his mouth area. So the face print decal here They nailed it with the facial hair stubble. However, sometimes this is where that little dotty matrix stuff that they use with the face print tech deco, it gets a little splotchy because for some reason it just looks like the print that's for his facial hair stubble is on his teeth too. It looks like he has facial hair stubble on his teeth. It looks so off. I'm like, what the hell? Like, his whole mouth area is looking like a splashed Oreo culotta. I don't know, man. Something's off with that. It's like, bro, brush your teeth, man. That's just one of my criticisms on that. Everything else, though, again, the sculpt. Look at that, all new sculpt. You got the seams, and you got the sculpted design on there. I love the yellow slashes off to the side right there. That is so good. The shoulder pads here, they have that kind of shifty feature like they did with the X-Men 97 Jean Grey. You see how you could like shift it up and down? So you could place it however you want. Doesn't really bother me. I mean, sometimes it does, because, you know, depending if I'm doing a photo, I'm like, this is out of place. But I think they could still find a way to keep it in place so that it could still move around with the arm. So that's the good thing. It still moves around with the arm. The hair is very good. They sculpted it and painted it at the same time. We're getting that. I like that. I like when the hairs is sculpted and painted on at the same time. And not everything lines up exactly if you take a close look at it, but it's not that bad. I think they nailed it best with the civilian Logan one. That one was lined up and painted perfectly. So it looks good. This is more curly than straight. Yeah, the civilian Logan had almost more of a straight hair pattern. This one's a lot curlier. And the only thing that I'm bummed about is that they sculpted the hairs right here on the back of the triceps. That's weird. They sculpted it and not painted it. I don't mind if they sculpt it, just paint it. You know what I mean? It's a waste of sculpt right there. So they should have painted it. Yeah, I love the blue on this thing, man. It just reminds me so much of Astonishing X-Men. You guys, belt buckle there, painted nicely. Got the silver and the red. Again, painted nicely. The yellow patches on his gloves. And, of course, the best Wolverine claws in Marvel Legends are the Logan movie Wolverine claws. These are so nice. And it looks like they're painted in a metallic silver, because I hate when they don't paint it metallic. But if it's not painted, it has a very nice shimmer than those that they used in the past that looked a little bit dull. So the best thing about this, too, the claws line up with the shoots. As you can see, it's not overlapping the shoots, where it looks thicker than the shoots. Damn, that looks good. And you get some seam work there on the hands, where they are killing the comic figures this year. My God, even those that I have issues with, I still think they are killing it. And that's the one thing with Astonishing X-Men, they got to keep consistent, is the seam work. They had a lot of seams running down in their costumes. Man, that blue just looks so good. The yellow pops just right. You know, the knees, you know, thank God the yellow plastic matches the rest. And even with the skin tone right here, it's not really off tone. So I like it. The one thing I don't like about this figure more than anything is that there is no boot swivel at all whatsoever. And it's just so weird. He has the cut right there. He should have the boot swivel. So when I was posing this guy around, force of habit wise, I kept finding myself trying to adjust the boot, and I can't, because, you know, posing all their Wolverine figures, they always have a cut here. Another small thing, nothing major, but when you bend the ankles down, the hinge is in blue and not black. I think if you wanted to fill in this look, they should have went with a black hinge. As you can see, it just breaks up the design right there. So what I said is small, maybe major to some. Actually, now that I look at it, it might be major. I mean, you're breaking up a design pattern, so, you know, I think it's best they should have went with a black hinge. Another thing I wanted to show you is that the X-Men 97 Wolverine has the black hinge, so I don't know why they didn't just carry that design choice over. It's not a deal breaker for me, but it's very important not to break up the design. You gotta keep everything flowing. Other than that, absolutely incredible. incredible. I love this. Now for accessories, he comes with a Logan head unmasked, and I gotta say, this does resemble Cassidy's art. They've been doing a really good job resembling Cassidy's art, even with that Emma Frost. I praise that head sculpt. Cassidy's Logan was different from other Logans in the past. He had that very rough looking, rugged look, you know, those strong facial features, where Cassidy pretty much softened up his facial features. He had a more softer Logan look. Even if it's not 100% accurate to Cassidy's art depiction, it does remind me of it, and that's all I care about. If it reminds me of his art, I think they did a good job. And not for nothing, we know that Marvel Legends, they keep their looks universal. They really don't go off of art depictions, but when they do, it's nice to see it. They don't have to do it all the time, but when they do it, it's a special treat, and I think it came out nice. So I hope that's the running theme here with all of the Astonishing X-Men characters, is keeping the Cassidy art. So that's it. These are the only heads we get. And isn't it funny when Marvel Legends gives us like a masked, neutral looking head for Wolverine? They don't give us any angry ones or yelling ones. But if they do give us an angry one or yelling one, we don't have a neutral Wolverine looking face. It's pretty funny. I feel like every Wolverine figure should have a neutral head and an angry head. And multiple heads for Wolverine is always a good thing, in my opinion. I would like a smirking Wolverine too. You know, when he's being a little smartass, I would like that too. But we do get alternate hands, so we get 2 fists with no claws out. But also they gave us additional hands for Wolverine. That is something different. So we get an opened right hand here for Wolverine if you want to slap Cyclops, I guess, you know. And then a pointing finger right here if you want to poke Cyclops' eyes out or something like that. But this is cool. I don't mind this. The more hands, the better. That's what I always say. And since this figure was set up to have the Logan movie claws, what I managed to do was take the bloody claws from the Logan movie figures onto this, and it looks fucking gnarly. Look at that. Holy shit, does this look awesome. So I highly recommend you do this if you want to spice up your figure some more. These bloody claws have been a freaking game changer if you could fit them into your comic Wolverine figures like this one. We're going to get into articulation like this, and his head moves up about that far up, so not that bad. It's on a ball joint, but wish he looked a little bit further up. Again, not that bad, especially if you're going to do lunging poses. You can utilize that torso. So he looks down about that far. Is it really down, though? That's the one thing I keep... When I look at him like this, I'm like, he's not really looking that far down. He's just, you know, it's a little bit downward, but not all the way down as I want it to. It moves side to side, and it does pivot nicely. You can rock that around. His arms do move about that far up, so you're going to get a straight T-pose, upward and out, like that. And it moves down. The butterfly joints, they always kill it with Wolverine's butterfly joints. So they go forward this much, and they move back about that much. So great for lunging poses. He's got a lot of range. I mean, look at that. That is great. One thing I will say, I have this kind of like blue dye within his arms if I zoom in, and I don't know if that's how it came out of the package or in vanilla stance, like, you know, paint rub. I'm not sure. Just be aware of that. So it could just be my copy, but I wanted to point it out. And like I said, these shoulder pads, they shift. I love how they move around with the arms. You got the bicep swivel, double jointed pinless elbows. Some great range right there. Look at that. Very good range. And then you got the wrist swivel, wrist hinge. The one advancement I wanted for new Wolverine figures going forward was the double diaphragm joint. So we got the upper torso rocker and the inverted ab crunch. So he can move forward that far, so we get some good crunch. Is it better than the traditional ab crunch? About the same. No, he does get more range. I was just standing him the wrong way, so you get a little more range, and hey, that difference, I'll take it. And he moves that far back, so you're going to get some good lunging poses out of him. And it swivels right there at the top, you know. It pivots side to side, and that's an important feature for Wolverine. And it could rock around, so good there. The legs, he can get a full split pretty much. That is great. No drop down legs though. No drop down legs. I'm surprised. And he kicks really high and kicks that far back, so he gets an awkward frontward split. And his legs rock around. You got the thigh swivel, double jointed knees, no heel to the Astonishing butt, but very close. Very close. Sadly, like I said, no boot swivel. His ankles can move up that far, down that low, and you can rock them all around. This is the one Wolverine figure I feel like I wish they included a toe joint. Just gonna keep comparisons simple and not overdo it, so here is the new Astonishing X-Men Wolverine next to my two favorite comic Marvel Legends Wolverine figures, X-Men 97 and the Outback Team Wolverine. Here he is next to an Astonishing X-Men villain, Danger, from the Brood Queen Bathwave. Can you imagine what they could do with an updated Danger nowadays? Especially with what they can do to increase the wingspan, as they've done a great job with some wings on recent figures like Angel and MCU Vulture, to name a few. These wings were pretty damn impressive for 2008, and she had bicep swivel, double jointed elbows with shoulder rockers that not only move forward and back, but full circular motion. So ahead of Hasbro times, as she had some things done at that time in the dark days than most of their female figures had after almost a decade and a half. I think Danger would be a hell of a deluxe if done right. I'm down for that update, as I'll take anything Astonishing X-Men. Lastly, here he is next to his newly updated Astonishing X-Men teammates we got from last year's Cha'ad Bathwave, Cyclops and Emma Frost. 3 figures in only 1 year is not a good ratio for the team. Half the team should have been tackled already at this point. I'm very skeptical about them completing this team, as Hasbro is not reliable for that, as they either make you wait 10 plus years or they never get the job done. It's the X-Men team I want completed most, and fingers crossed that they complete them right away. But so far, I love how consistent they made them look with all the seam work and everything that I just envisioned from the comic into figure form. And now to wrap things up, my final rating is a 9.5 out of 10. This figure has pretty much everything I want in an updated Astonishing X-Men Wolverine. The only thing he's missing for me is the boot swivel. A little more TLC there, with adding a black ankle hinge to not break up the design, would have made me score this a 10 or closer to it. There's another minor flaw with the back arm hairs being sculpted and not painted. Makes for wasted tooling that could have gone towards something else, like giving us that boot swivel. At least the rest of the arms were painted and sculpted, which looks great. But everything else was perfect landing. The costume is exactly how I wanted it, with all the sculpted seams and design patterns, even including the yellow padding on the boots and the gloves. This just fits my aesthetics for an Astonishing X-Men Wolverine figure. The accessories are a fine choice. The Cassidy Logan head is lovely. The Logan movie claws are the right choice, and giving us additional hands for Wolverine is something I won't complain about. However, it would be nice if they gave him C-grip hands to hold the soda can accessory, since he's always drinking. Yeah, we know he's a beer guy, but since they can't promote smoking or alcohol, which is why we'll never get a beer bottle accessory or a head sculpt of him smoking a cigar, at least with a soda can, we can pretend it's a beer, because it's an action figure and we use our imagination with them. Anyways, they nailed the sculpting to his physique. He's a lot bulkier and has much more depth when looking at his side compared to his predecessors. After using the same blank Wolverine bodies over and over again, this is a huge refresher the character needed in Legends form. I think this may end up being most Legends collectors' top pick for best Legends Wolverine figure. Top 3 for sure. Now I kick it back to you. What do you think of this Astonishing X-Men Wolverine figure? Are you copying or passing? Which Astonishing X-Men member do you want to see next in Marvel Legends? Comment below, let me know, we'll chat about it. Thanks for watching another Marvel Legends review. Please follow me on Instagram if you haven't already at xman87. Hit the notification bell so you always know when my latest videos are up. Share and subscribe if you're new. See you on the next review. Peace, peace.